And it looks like we're live on YouTube. Let me go ahead and start recording on my end. Are you going to record on your end?
Yeah, thanks for reminding me.
Record on this computer. And this is Male Entrepreneur, podcast episode number 138. And we are live in 3, 2. All right. Welcome back to the Male Entrepreneur podcast with your host, Purdeep Sangha, the male entrepreneur himself. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty awesome, man. I'm doing awesome. Today was been a really cool day today. As I mentioned, you and I were chatting before. We just went live with our LinkedIn show, the live LinkedIn show. It's called Complete with Purdeep. Not to take away from this podcast, The Male Entrepreneur, because this is my baby. This is the original. But we had to create something special for the LinkedIn group because LinkedIn is just blowing up, man. So I was super excited because this is like a proper, fully professionally produced show. It was really cool. I was a little bit nervous at first, but it went fairly smoothly. So it was fun.
Nice. So before we jump into this week's topic, I've been hearing a lot of people saying that LinkedIn is kind of in that explosive stage now where the people that are there are starting to compare it to like the early days of Facebook when Facebook was first starting to blow up.
Yeah, I think it is. I think what's happened now because of Facebook's changed a lot, man. I don't know if you're seeing like their new desktop. It's totally confusing for me. I don't even want to go onto it anymore. Like they've just totally blown me off. And then all the negativity and all the crap. The one thing I like about LinkedIn is that people are still somewhat professional. So you can post something, but people are mindful in terms of how they're approaching it and how they're posting it. And I think people are kind of getting tired of this negativity, and I think they're looking for optimism. And that's where LinkedIn definitely is different because there's a lot more optimistic people. There's people that are more collaborative. It is, although it's a massive platform, it still seems like there are little tribes, or it's a big tribe, you can say. People have their little cliques as well, but it's not as big as Facebook, where it's just kind of like all over the place. But there's a downside too, because I jumped on LinkedIn, you can say all in probably a couple of years ago, or maybe not even all in. I've been kind of all in this year, but you can say halfway, about 2 years ago, things started to change. And I've seen a massive shift now over the last 6 months where people are just inundating you with these sales messages. It's just crazy what's happening. Like your mailbox has been like bombarded by all these people trying to sell you on stuff, which I can understand because people are going virtual, but they're just turning people off. So this is it's unfortunate.
Unfortunate to say the least. I get the same thing, and that's the one thing that's kind of making me turning me off of LinkedIn is how many of these bot messages that I get. Somebody sends me a friend request, and 2 seconds after I respond to it, I get this 15 paragraph long message that I know is just copy and pasted with my name injected in, and it's just like, hi, I'm not going to ask anything about you. I'm not going to give any kind of indication that I picked you out individually. I'm just going to promote myself and talk about how awesome I am and how great I am at doing this thing. And if you want to jump on a free strategy call, I'd love to tell you even more about how awesome I am. And I can't stand that approach, man.
Yeah, it sucks. We're actually trying something, and this is legitimate because I want to get obviously the new book, right, The Complete Man, out in as many people's hands as I can. Not only because we both put out books there before. You don't make any money off the book itself. It actually costs you money. I don't think a lot of people realize that, but this book is all about helping people and changing their lives. So we've tried a different approach to see if people are open to even accepting a free book, because we put out a message to say, hey guys, you know what, because you're part of my network, I'd love to give you the ability to get a free copy of my book. Just text this number. We'll see how that works out, because it isn't about being salesy. I truly want to offer it to people for free before it actually goes out there. So we'll see. But LinkedIn is interesting. It's a different world. But you know what? It really goes to the conversation that we're talking about here today, because I find it a lot more uplifting. I find it a lot more fulfilling and a lot more joyful than a lot of the other platforms. And that's really the topic that we're discussing today is, okay, there's a lot of guys out there, you're working your butt off. You're doing everything you can. You're literally giving it your all. And I know, Nathan, there's, if you're listening out there, you guys, I know how hard you guys are working, and I know the sacrifices that you're making. But I also want to say something very seriously is, if you're not having the enjoyment or the fulfillment that you want, what the heck are you working so hard for? Like, what is the point? Right, Nathan?
Yeah. So, two things about that. I was talking with David, one of the other podcasts that we do, and it's all about copywriting. And we were talking about emotions and which emotions are really resonating with people right now. And uh, I think it was a 60 Minutes or some news show came on almost immediately after we recorded the episode, and we were talking about how sorrow right now and like remorse are just resonating at such a high frequency. And this particular TV show said that it was when they interviewed, or when they uh, surveyed their viewers, that was also one of the highest. So right now, at this point in time, when we're recording this episode, and we're in the middle of the quote unquote COVID pandemic, and a lot of people aren't seeing their loved ones. They're not being able to do the things that bring them enjoyment in life. Um, at the same time, though, there is still opportunity for that, but it's more difficult. And so I think that right now, being able to make those conscious decisions about where am I going to put my energy, it's more difficult, but it's still possible, and I think it's more important than ever. So I kind of wanted to, I guess, take it from that point of view, especially right now, and just in life in general. Sometimes life gets hard. Sometimes as a business owner, stuff gets stressful. We're trying to make payroll. We're worried about taxes. We're worried about, oh, I launched this campaign and it didn't work like I thought it would, or I built up all the stuff that I thought would bring me happiness and I'm still miserable. Uh, whether it's what we're going through societal right now, or just in general, as a dad, as a business owner, sometimes it's hard to find the joy and fulfillment in life.
You're absolutely right. There's so many different things there. And I really want to simplify and break it down for the listeners here, because I want you to picture a circle. In the middle of that circle, well, how do I point this here? The circle is basically in there. Put in the word state. If you draw a circle, put in the word state, because that is ultimately what determines your level of happiness and fulfillment in life, is the state that you're actually in every single moment. And that state has three components, because we as human beings experience life through these three things. So I want you to draw a line out of that circle, put another circle out there. One is your thoughts, right? What you're constantly thinking about is determines part of your state, because if you're having crappy thoughts, your state isn't going to be ideal. The next, I want you to draw another stick out and another circle out of that main circle, that's that state. And I want you to put down energy, because your level of energy has a massive impact on your state. And what we're seeing globally is a low energy state. We're seeing people with less energy, more people in depression, we're talking about lower frequency emotions. If we take a look at the ancient teachings, for example, are things like sadness and fear, and anxiety, right? Even anger. Those are low frequency, low energy emotions. Even though anger may seem like a high energy emotion, it's actually not. It's actually a very low energy emotion. It's primitive almost. It's a natural. I'm not going to bash it. We all have anger, but it's not a high level energy. The third one is emotions, right? Emotions, your feelings have a massive impact on your state. So ultimately, what I'm trying to say is, if you want to have a more fulfilling life, if you want to have a happier life, and if you want to even perform better, it all comes down to the state that you're in and those three components. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? And how much energy do you have right now? Because if any one of those areas is off, your state is going to be off. And if your state is off, your quality of life is going to be off. I'll use an example. Like last night, I was just not feeling 100%, because I had 2 nights. I stayed up super late because I had to get some work done, and I was just tired. So my energy was low. Then I heard something that really bugged me, and I was just kind of like, that bugged the crap out of me. And then my feelings were thrown off, and then I had to regroup myself. I said, Purdeep, I could either wallow in this state and just kind of suck it up, or kind of say, hey, look, I'm going to stay in this state because it kind of felt good. I'm like, I just want to feel crappy today. I want to feel crappy because I'm tired of feeling happy. Like, do you know some of those moments where it requires energy to change your state?
Yeah.
And I said, pretty, why would I choose to be miserable if I could choose to be happy just by turning these things? This is what I teach people to do. Why the hell would I do it myself? And I said, okay, you know what? Get up, get off your ass, actually do it. So I did it. And I took that approach. I started to think of more positive things. I actually had some energy drinks, like not like Red Bull or stuff like that, but other proper ones, like natural ones. And I actually started focusing on the right emotions and actually eventually changed my state. So that's really what it comes down to. Nathan, this is, if I can say what can change the quality of your life, what can actually make you more money, what can actually drive you in having a more passionate relationship and have your kids love you, have people around you admire you, it really comes down to the state that you're in.
Mm.
The more consistent you can remain within those ideal states, the better you will be.
I think, and I want to get your take on this, input and output. A lot of times we unconsciously consume
Hmm.
media, the books that we choose to read, the podcasts that we choose to listen to, the TV shows that we choose to watch. There's a lot of fast food for the brain, and a lot of it is really toxic. And you can, if you watch the news, it's really easy to get depressed. If you watch reality TV shows where they just showcase like the most vile people, they turn the most vile specimens of humanity into superstars. It's really easy to get kind of depressed about the world and start seeing everybody that way. So the stuff that you take in mentally, but also I've noticed making a conscious effort to output positivity. So make a
Mhm.
conscious effort to input positive stuff, but also make a conscious effort to output positivity. Some of the best things that, and this may sound like super corny, but just going on a walk with Bella, taking the dog and going for a walk, and letting her get out and rollerblade and get some of that energy out and get out of the house. Of course, we're trying to do the social distancing, and we're not walking up to people on the trail and letting them cough on us or anything like that. But just
You're not making out with strangers, man?
no, I haven't done that since the beginning of COVID. But going out of your way to do something positive. If you're having a bad day, do something to make somebody else's day better. So input positivity, but also make a conscious effort to output positivity. For me, it can completely change the way I feel about a day. It can completely change the way I feel about myself. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh man, I love it. I don't know what more to add, but I'm going to add the science behind that. Is, your first point that you made in terms of consuming, what we consume is so important because we have two levels of thinking in our brain, right? And Daniel Kahneman talked about this when he presented the system one versus system two. We actually do have two systems of thinking. The first one is a very, you can say, habitual style of thinking. That is your unconscious level, and unfortunately, your unconscious level has no filter. So whatever we take in about 11 million bits of information into our brain every single second from our environment. And so if we think that we're not consuming something, our brain is consuming it unconsciously. It is taking in all of this information. What you have to be aware of is you have to use your system two thinking, your brain, which has, you can say that's the more manual thinking, the one that you have control over, to filter out the stuff that's getting into your unconscious brain. So I don't watch news anymore. Actually, I just kiboted it altogether. I don't listen to negative posts. Actually, I'm off Facebook almost completely now because I'm just tired of that. I stop my kids from taking that because, guys, you might sit there and say, I'm stronger than this. I'm telling you, I say that to myself all the time, but your brain is not built that way. Your brain consumes everything. So if someone throws in a picture in front of you, whatever that is, your brain will consume it unconsciously, regardless of how strong you are. So what is the best approach? Don't even consume it. Don't even put yourself near it. If you have the option, right? Avoid that negative mentality, avoid negative people, avoid negative media. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, well, that's just being blind to the world. No, it's not. That's actually being smart. If you're going to consume information, consume it from credible resources, from credible places that don't filter, that don't have a negative spin on things. That's the most important thing. The second thing, Nathan, is bang on. What you put out is what you get back. Neuroscience has actually shown that now. They've actually proven that the effect that you put out into the world actually affects your environment and it responds to you differently. So just think about it this way. If, and I had to change my approach a number of years ago when I got married, is, if your wife says something to you that you don't like, you have an option. You can either say something back that she doesn't like, or you can be nice about it and see how the reaction changes. And that positivity, it might not work at first, but eventually it will work. Your environment will respond. Just think of yourself when you're around someone who's positive, a positive guy or a positive gal. What kind of energy are you getting off them? I bet you anything, unless you have victim mentality yourself and you like to have self-pity, but you enjoy hanging out with more positive people than negative people. That's the key. And you want to be one of those positive people because that is so much better to be. But that impacts your fulfillment, which kind of goes to the third piece. Nathan, and you out there listening, is, there is no limit on the amount of love that you can give this world. There is no limit on the amount of optimism and positivity that you can give to people out there. There's none. And you can gain limitless, you can say, joy out of that just by giving. And that is that, if we take a look at the things that actually change people's fulfillment, Nathan, here's what science has actually shown now is getting out into nature, right? Getting out into nature helps your mind, right? From a mindfulness perspective, helps you connect with life because nature is life. The second is the quality of relationships that you have. The better quality of relationships, I'm not necessarily more, but deeper, positive relationships, the better. The third component is spirituality. Believing in something greater than yourself or greater than what we live through in this physical world. That's something that helps. The fourth component is gratefulness, is being grateful for what you have. So these are the things that actually lead to happiness and joy. And if you can actually practice these on a daily basis, you'll actually be a more fulfilled person. But how do most people live these days, Nathan, is we're so caught up in our work. We get up, we work in our business or work in our career, and we get consumed by that, not by all the stuff that actually makes us happy.
Yeah, and this is, I think, a downfall to the personality trait of an overachieving entrepreneurial type guy is we're always thinking about what's next, what's better, what can we do better. And I think a lot of times we don't take the time to stop and look at how far we've come and be grateful for all the things that we have. And I think that that's a conscious exercise that more of us could benefit from, just relaxing, taking a break, 5 minutes just to think about, yeah, I've got all this way to go to the next goal, but man, look at how much I've been able to accomplish in the 30 years, 40 years that I've been on the planet, 20 years that I've been on the planet. I want to, two things real quick. You mentioned earlier, you were talking about a study and you mentioned an author. I think you're talking about the guy that wrote the book Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow.
Yep.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yep.
I love that book. Totally second that notion to check that out. You mentioned also that you've got a book coming out, and you said something about texting something to somewhere. And before we're out of here today, I want to give you a chance to kind of wrap up any final thoughts. And then I also wanted to let the listeners know about how they can get on the queue list to get an advanced copy of your book when it comes out.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, if you haven't picked up that book, please pick it up. It's an awesome book. He is a world-renowned, you can say, psychologist. He's actually even in the economic field, for example, because he teaches or he has taught how people actually make decisions when it comes to economic decisions. So it's actually he's a brilliant gentleman. There's another thing when it comes to happiness, because we can only have so many things in life. And that stuff can be taken away from you, but it's who you are that actually determines how happy you are. Going back to what you said, looking back at how much you've grown over the last 6 months or the year or when you were a teenager, right? You're a horny little teenager doing whatever you were. You've grown significantly in wisdom and experience and life circumstances and skills and abilities. Hopefully, right? We're hoping that you have. So you can actually, as you continue to grow as a person, that will help your fulfillment. So I'm so glad you mentioned that. Uh, the other piece is why I want to talk about the achievement piece. The reason why we're so focused on achievement, A, is because yes, we're males and we're driven to achieve and we're driven to fulfill a task and a goal. But there's a second thing that's even more plaguing to society, and it's been around since since society has come together as human beings or as hominids, is this concept of equity. Is we will feel happier when we feel like we're doing better than others, and we will feel worse when we feel that others are doing better than us. That's how your brain works. So if you want to have a higher level of happiness, then compare yourself to someone that's not doing as well as you. And I don't mean to say don't have aspirations, but I'm saying this is really one of the core secrets to happiness is be grateful for what you have, because there's someone else out there that doesn't have what you have. My parents grew up this way, and Nathan, you probably heard it, or, you out there listening heard it. My parents said, they used to say there's some kid in India that doesn't get food. So you should appreciate the food that's in front of you. And I saw it firsthand when I went there. And that was a moment in 2006 as a grown adult when I went back since I was a kid. And I said, holy crap, I will appreciate every single thing that I have in life. So those two elements will help you with your fulfillment. And so to kind of wrap it up, yeah, I'm so excited about the book, The Complete Man, because this is what it's about. The subtitle is Achieve Ultimate Performance, Fulfillment, and Victory in every single aspect of your life. That's what this book is about. Is not just fulfilling or being successful in business. It's about every single aspect of your life that you really want to have victory in. So I'm super excited about this coming out. It's going to be launched officially in December. You can get a pre-release copy. So before you actually have to pay for it, you can get a pre-release copy by texting free to the number 888-210-5566. There are no catches. We are giving away a notification for how you can get a pre-release copy. Again, all you need to do is text free to 888-210-5566.
Awesome. We went down a bunch of different rabbit holes today. I hope that the listeners got something out of this. And if they want to check out more episodes of the podcast, where's the best places that they can go?
We got two places for you. Check out mailpodcast.com or youtubeformen.com.
All right, man. Until next time, we'll catch you later.